All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Cook Along Kitchen. Today is a special episode, not just because of the way that we're doing this episode, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I actually have a live audience here too. They're behind the camera. They're not going to be coming on camera. I promise them that thus far, at least. But this is something new that we're trying out to bring these demonstrations live. I have said over the last almost 4 years, I wish you guys come on in. I wish you could smell it. I wish you could taste it. I wish you could see what we're doing. And now I've got 3 live participants who can vouch that they enjoy the recipe, I hope, and are excited to be here. And so if this is something that is of interest to you, keep an eye out. We do these every month. I'm happy to do them live with an audience. I think next month we're doing holiday flavors, so that might be fun to attend. And then I can also come do this for your work group too. So if you're at an offsite location and you're interested in having a cooking demonstration, fill out the wellness to you form on the HR A to Z guide, and we're happy to accommodate that and have a conversation about it. So let's talk about what we're doing today. Veggie Victory. I was telling some of our live action crew here today that we were initially going to be working with a vendor relationship that we have through the county with a business called Produce Pack. They're located in St. Pete. They are, I believe, a nonprofit organization, and they work to get seniors in the area more fresh produce, which is a great cause, right? Of course, everybody needs fresh produce, but especially those that are at possibly a socioeconomic disadvantage. So you can see, obviously, if you are an Amazon shopper, you recognize this box. There's not many other kinds of boxes that come to my house. So we're going to pretend this is a produce pack box. Now, if you were to utilize any of these types of services, you have like the Misfits Market that sends out produce, you have Produce Pack. There's several different kinds of these box type services available around the county and around our country. Um, Sometimes you know what you get, sometimes you don't. With Produce Pack, you get this nice opportunity to choose not just the size of the box that you're getting. They have a small box, which is what I'm going to be demonstrating on today. They have a medium box, and I think they also have a large box. You can do just fruits, just vegetables, or a combination. I did a combination, and then from there, you choose what you want. So I believe it's 7 selections in various categories on their website for the small box. I want to say it's 4 fruits and 3 vegetables. It might be reverse. Either way, you get 7 items. Now, as I pull these items out, you might get a chuckle because some of them are not in the form that you would get them in a produce box, but we'll talk about that as well. So let's do a little bit of unboxing and see what we selected for our produce delivery. Produce Pack, I believe they deliver on Sundays. You put your order in during the week, and then they ship to your house or deliver to your house in Pinellas and Hillsborough County. I think that's their only counties right now. But let's say I get my box on a Sunday. I'm ready to open it up and figure out what I'm going to do with my ingredients. So we'll do a little PV Magic unboxing my produce pack. And for my vegetables, I have this big guy. If anybody recognizes this, this is bok choy. It is an Asian vegetable. It actually originates from China, and you can use it in a number of different ways. Today, we're going to keep it in its raw form and use it in a salad. So we'll be using the greens and not as much as of the stems. But you could also chop this whole thing, put it in a stir fry or other dishes. It's really, really good. And we're going to go over the nutrient properties of the bok choy as well. So that would be one of our vegetable selections, a nice leafy green. This is beautiful too. So the thing with bok choy though is you want to make sure when you're washing it, you kind of separate out the leaves because there gets to be a lot of dirt down in here towards the root, and nobody wants to eat dirt. So go ahead and rinse this guy really good. But that would be one of our options. Let me scoot my produce box to the side here. So we've got our bok choy. Other vegetable, I selected a yellow squash. So this is technically a summer squash, but they are still in season here in Florida. And the Produce Pack Company, they locally source their produce too, which is really nice. So we've got a nice firm yellow squash here we'll be using. One of my other vegetable choices was a tomato. Now, if you are like, wait a second, Shannon, tomato's a fruit, you would be right. It is a fruit, but for their classification, they allow you to choose a tomato as a fruit, and they also allow you to choose a tomato as a vegetable option. So I got two more. So we would have three, these are Roma tomatoes, but three tomatoes, whatever they have access to. So we've got three tomatoes. My other vegetable, and this is where you guys might be like, okay, that's not how it would come in a box, is ginger. I am a big fan of these paste tubes. They're so easy. It's already grated. They have garlic, they have ginger, they have lemongrass. At least those are the ones in my fridge at home right now. They've got a bunch of these. I think you can even get some of the green herbs like your parsleys, your cilantros in a paste. They're so nice and they stay fresh for weeks and weeks and weeks. You don't have to fuss around with peeling the ginger or with finding your grater in the back of your drawer somewhere if you've got this stuff. So ginger would be one of my other vegetable choices, but since I have the paste, we're keeping it easy today. So we've got that. Now, one of my tomatoes was a fruit choice. I have two other fruit choices. An avocado. So this is a Hass avocado. I got lucky that it is like perfectly ripe. So I think I should probably play the lotto this week because it's very rare to find that. Although one of the tips, if you're shopping in the grocery store for an avocado, obviously the squeeze test, right? But maybe you don't want to squeeze a million avocados. Or perhaps you squeeze one and you're like, okay, this seems ripe, and you get it home and it's really not fully ripe yet. I like to pop that little tab off on the top. If it's brown underneath that tab, it's ripe enough to eat. If it's green or that tab doesn't want to come off, you're going to want to keep it on the counter for a couple days. Or if you need to speed up the ripening process, you can put it in a paper bag with an apple or a banana, and that'll help ripen it a little faster too. Now, let's say you're like me, a bulk store shopper, Costco, Sam's, BJ's, wherever you do your bulk shopping, you can get like a bag of 5 or 8 avocados. If you want to slow down the ripening process, which is what happens to us, they all get ripe all on the same day, and then it's avocado everything. You can stick them in the fridge, and that'll help. And you can also freeze an avocado whole. So keep that in your back pocket as well. So that would be one of my fruits. And then lastly, again, not in the form that you would get in a produce box, but I've got some Simply Not From Concentrate orange juice. Orange would be my choice. I didn't want to have to cut and juice an orange. And so we have some orange juice, but that would be my produce box. Now, let's say I had not yet picked a recipe and these items showed up at my house, and I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to utilize this without it going to the produce graveyard? Anybody here struggle with a produce graveyard? I know I do. Sometimes I pull out all the drawers in my fridge and see what's growing inside and what I've forgotten about, or what I have. So, like the other day, I looked in my fridge, I had 5 red onions. Why? Why? I don't know. Maybe I meant to buy one and misclicked or something when I was doing my grocery order, but it's important to look through what we have and kind of make a plan for it. Now, I'm a plan first, shop second person, but I realize not everybody is that way. Some people, like in this example, you might shop first and then say, okay, I have all these ingredients. What am I going to do with all of them? And so I lost my hair tie. Um, so what I would do is I'm always going to look at the leafy greens first. Leafy greens are going to wilt really quickly. And once a lettuce or a leafy green is wilty, it's just not as usable, right? The uses for it become a lot more limited into it being a cooked ingredient versus a raw ingredient. So if this were my produce box, I would say, okay, this bok choy's got to get used within the first couple of days of my week. So when I'm planning my menu, maybe I'm planning this fresh salad that we're going to make today. Maybe I'm going to plan a stir fry for later in the week to use part of it. It is a pretty big head too. So dependent on how much you need, how many people you're feeding, you might find two different uses for it. A raw use for it in the beginning of the week and a cooked use for the other half of it later in the week. So you can kind of play around with that. The second one that I'd be looking at is this avocado. How ripe is it? Is it ready to use today and I need to use it right now? Or is it hard as a rock and it feels like a baseball and it's going to sit on the counter for a week, right? But these are so finicky that that's the second thing I would be looking at. The third thing I would be looking at is going to be my tomatoes. Tomatoes soften really quickly, and then again, it kind of gets less versatile. We don't want or at least I don't want, a soggy, mushy tomato in a fresh dish. I want something that's got a little bit of bite to it. So I would be looking at these guys and seeing what's their level of freshness. These are pretty firm, so they're still pretty fresh. But if they were on the softer side, I might say, okay, I need to use these in the beginning of the week, or I need to just incorporate them into a cooked dish at any point in this week. So always looking at our tomatoes. And then lastly would be my squash and my ginger. Ginger can stay good in the fridge forever. And the cool thing about ginger is that it does have antibacterial properties. And my family gets freaked out about this, but I promise you it's safe. If you have a little nub of ginger and it starts to grow some mold, just cut that part off and you can continue using the rest perfectly safely and fine. So ginger, I'd be like, all right, this guy can live probably like several months in my fridge. I'm not worried about it, especially the tube, but if it was raw. This guy, however, probably give him like 2 weeks at most, and he's going to get all shrivelly and weird and start with some brown spots. So again, at that point, you can still use it. Maybe it is best served in a stew or soup at that point, or a cooked dish versus raw. I want it to be nice and smooth skin and still pretty firm. So that's kind of how and then of course our orange, same thing, right? Produce has a little bit of an extended shelf life, so we don't need it right away. That orange could be used at any point. So that's how I would break down my box and do some of my meal planning based on the shelf life of these ingredients, which really does vary. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what we're going to make today. So, obviously, I have my produce box ingredients here. I've washed everything and dried it all already. Let's look at the other ingredients that we have. We've got avocado oil. I like avocado oil because it's a neutral oil and it's naturally anti-inflammatory. A lot of our chronic diseases, the root of the chronic disease is inflammation. Unfortunately, in I'm going to say majority of our processed and packaged foods, that it contains inflammatory oils, canola oil, soybean oil, peanut oil, safflower, sunflower oil, right? Grapeseed and rapeseed oil, tons of different inflammatory oils that are just not great for us. So I'm a big fan of avocado oil. I like avocado oil even better than olive oil for cooking. It has a higher smoke point. So your kitchen isn't as smoky. And what a lot of people don't know is that once your oil starts smoking in the cooking process, it actually creates oxidative stress inside our body. So not great. Switch to avocado oil if you notice you use olive oil often and it smokes, and definitely use avocado oil if you grill. Don't put olive oil on your grill. It's just way too hot. And that includes like your Blackstone or cooktop type grills. So that's going to be our oil of choice for the dressing that we're going to make. I also have some white vinegar. So doing the white vinegar just to balance out and give the dressing a little bit of acid. We'll have a little sprinkle of cayenne in there, not much because I'm a weakling when it comes to that. Of course, some iodized salt, making sure that you're using iodized salt. Now I'll tell y'all, I love sea salt. Sea salt, however, is missing a ingredient called iodine. Iodine is imperative for thyroid health. If you have an iodine deficiency, you can end up with some serious thyroid condition issues. So make sure that you're getting iodized salt. I also have some local honey. Florida honey. You can get a little bit of immune boost from honey, but we're only using just a tiny, tiny bit. Of course, the orange juice we reviewed, and then I've got some sesame seeds here. So what we're going to be making is a chopped bok choy salad with an orange ginger vinaigrette. I am not actually cooking today, although we've had some cooler temperatures in the morning. It's still so hot outside. So I thought an easy recipe that's fresh, that comes together really quickly, and that allows us an opportunity to maybe not cook would be great. So that's what we're going to work with today. Let me get some gloves on here, some hand sanitizer, and we're going to get started. So bok choy, surprisingly, a lot of people are going to think, oh, it's in the leafy vegetable like lettuce family, right? It's actually a cruciferous vegetable. So it's in the family of broccoli, cauliflower, kale, gives us lots and lots of fiber. It's also a leafy green, so it's going to be high in vitamin K. If you have a blood clotting disorder and you take a medication like warfarin, beware of your vitamin K intake. We need it to be consistent. And so I wouldn't be loading up on bok choy one day and none the next day, right? So just keep that in mind. It is really rich in vitamin K, which is awesome. It's also really rich in vitamin C, which might surprise you. It's got some anti-cancer properties too, due to glucosinolates in it, which is a polyphenol compound that helps to reduce our cancer risk. It's high in zinc and iron, which helps to synthesize collagen in our body and also helps our bones from not becoming as brittle as we age. And lastly, it helps to regulate our blood pressure with potassium, magnesium, and calcium. So you guys know I truly believe food is medicine, and this food is no exception to that. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna trim this into just little slices here. Again, I'm making a chopped salad, so I want all of my attendees here to be able to have bite-sized pieces. And so just looking at making this into a bite size for them or anybody else you might be preparing this for. So we're just going to toss that right into a bowl. I'm going to continue chopping up some of this, but we are getting a little close to our root on some of them. So I want to make sure that I don't get too much of that stem in there because that part is very fibrous and can be hard to chew and a little bit hard to digest. So we want to be mindful of that. So I'm just going in and peeling off the leafy green part. And I've got a hidden trash can behind here, so I'm not just tossing food on the ground. I'm curious, anybody here in my live audience or my audience on Zoom, anybody here in my live audience or my audience on Zoom, has any for the first time this weekend for a recipe? I love that. I eat it stir fried usually. Yeah, awesome. Have you ever had it raw? Okay, cool. So this will be a great experiment for you. Great. Okay, so we've gotten most of the leafy green off here. I'm just going to chop the rest of this. So in case the audio didn't pick up, one of our live audience members said that they just bought bok choy for the first time this weekend for a recipe. So the timing is uncanny that we're doing this. And then somebody else said that they eat it pretty regularly stir fried, which is great. So, all right, we've got all of our leafy green in here. Next, we're going to chop up our summer squash. So I'm just going to cut off the root end here and then the blossom end. These grow really beautifully in Florida and they create the most gorgeous squash blossoms ever. I've grown these many a time. So I've taken it, I've cut the neck off, sliced it in half, and now I'm going to do little half moons. Again, just aiming for bite size. One of the things when we're making a chopped salad like this, we want to try to get the size of the bite as close to uniform as possible so that it's easier for people to eat. So I want to get these small pieces here. And again, squash is not something that people often will consume uncooked. So this is a nice way to get some vegetable versatility in as well. So we've got our squash chopped. Let's add that to our leafy greens here. We're going to core and seed some tomatoes. So I'm going to cut this in half and then into quarters. And we're going to seed the tomatoes. I'm going to do them all at the same time because it's going to get messy. And if you haven't seeded tomatoes before, I'm sure they make a cute little tool for it. I just use a gloved finger to get all the seeds and guts out of the tomato. So now that you've got it cored, you just fish your finger in there and peel out all the seeds. So, and the reason that we do this in a chopped salad is because the seeds and I'm just going to call them tomato guts. The seeds and the tomato guts are really wet. And so they can add a lot of moisture to a chopped salad that we don't need, especially if we're having, a dressing paired with it. So seeding the tomatoes is pretty easy. Just be mindful of your eyes because tomato juice in the eye or a seed in the eye is not fun. So we're gonna seed and chop these, all three of these tomatoes, and then we'll add that to the dish as well. So tomatoes are also really rich in vitamin C, and they contain an antioxidant called lycopene. Lycopene um, helps to reduce oxidative or cellular damage in our body, which is awesome. So it's going to keep all the harmful cells at bay, or at least neutralize them for elimination in the body. Also, really high in potassium, which is one of the least consumed nutrients in the American diet. Really important for blood pressure control, especially with how much sodium Americans tend to consume. We need potassium to balance that out. So tomatoes are a great source of potassium. They're also really high in folate, important for pregnant women, or pregnant individuals, I should say, as well as for anybody with cellular function. We want a lot of folate for that. And lastly, they're high in vitamin K, which is going to help to um, keep our bones strong. So giving these a good chop here, and right in to the dish they go. Now I'm slicing off the root end so that we don't have any tough bits in our bite. And the summer squash, I realized I didn't tell you guys the nutrient properties of the summer squash. So the summer squash is full of carotenoids, specifically lutein and zeaxanthin. Zeaxanthin and lutein are both really helpful for our eye health, and they're antioxidants. So again, they're going to neutralize any free radical cellular damage that could be happening from, any number of reasons, from environmental exposures to toxin consumption, etc. Um, they're also high in potassium, magnesium, and vitamin C, which is all healthy for our bones. I think a lot of times we think about the way food tastes and not all the wonderful things it does for us. And I've really enjoyed bringing that part to the forefront for you all in this Cook Along Kitchen series. And then lastly, after I get done with this tomato, we're going to move on to our avocado. I love an avocado. And in case you didn't know this, California is the top producer of avocados. A lot of people think that it's Mexico, and I think at one point it was Mexico. And now I don't know if Californians just love tomato or avocados or what, but they're growing a lot of them out there. And so really neat because one avocado has 14 grams of fiber, which is half of a daily need for somebody assigned female. And then they're also super rich in magnesium, which is a wonder mineral. If you've ever had a session with me, I've probably recommended magnesium to you, because it's just so good for any number of reasons. It's great for balancing blood sugar. It's great for bowel health. It's great for helping with muscle, nerve, cellular function. It's also really helpful for blood pressure control. So it's got a number of really great uses for it. But avocados are also really high in vitamin E, which is imperative for our bones and for our mental health. Helps reduce anxiety. If you have anxiety or know somebody that struggles with anxiety. High in antioxidants. Again, all the cancer causing or cancer fighting nutrients are in whole foods. It's pretty amazing. So I've shelled this, I cored it, or got rid of the little seed. I saw this little meme the other day. It was a ghost and an avocado, and the ghost said, "Boo." And the avocado said, "Ah, you scared the pit out of me." I thought that was so cute. We're going to toss that cubed avocado in there. I'm a sucker for a food pun, you guys. I love it. Absolutely love them. So a cubed avocado. This is going to give a nice, really creamy texture to the salad too. All right, so I'll pop these yucky gloves off here. All right, let's make our dressing. So I am a big fan of keeping these little jars. This is like a little marinara jar. I keep these little jars, probably too many of them, but I keep them because they're really helpful to have around to make a quick dressing, especially if it's got to be portable or if I want to just make it in something and then stick it in the fridge. I love these little jars for that. So we're going to make our dressing with our other ingredients here. So for our dressing, we're going to start with a quarter cup of orange juice. I'm going to use a half cup measurement because this is the oddest serving or yeah thing ever. It doesn't have a quarter cup. I don't know. So we're going to use a half cup and fill it halfway. So we've got a quarter cup of orange juice. And dressings stay good in the fridge for about 5 days. If you were going to make this salad in advance, I would prepare it all minus the avocado. I wouldn't cut that because it's going to get brown from oxidation. Um, you could make your dressing ahead of time. I would store it separately and then dress right before you're going to eat. And then we're doing a quarter cup here of avocado oil. If any of you are lovers of flavored oils or like at the holidays, people get me flavor infused oils like rosemary oil. It's beautiful in the jar, or garlic oil. There's not a lot of utility for them, but they make a great oil base for a salad dressing. So keep them for that or drizzle them over some grilled veggies or something like that, and you'll get the flavor profile of the oil. But if you use it in cooking, it's going to wash out. So we've got a quarter cup orange juice, a quarter cup avocado oil. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. This is a 2 tablespoon measurement. So on to have a 2 tablespoon, but not a quarter cup. So we got 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in there. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of honey as well. Now you could use an alternate sweetener if you wanted to, an agave. Maple syrup would probably be good too. If you are on a ketogenic diet, they make a keto maple syrup made from allulose, which is what's called a non-nutritive sweetener, meaning it does not provide calories. It is not an artificial sweetener. It is a natural sweetener. It just doesn't contain calories. And it's not as sweet as sugar. So you might need a little bit more of it. Okay, ginger, we're going to put in 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of ginger. I love fresh ginger. It's got such amazing immune support properties. Now, this is a half teaspoon, so I'm going to do 4. But it's got such great immune boosting properties. It also really helps digestion. Okay, 2 teaspoons of ginger, a half teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon. I'm going to do an eighth of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper because I'm a baby. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little wimpy. So this is a quarter teaspoon of salt. And like I said, I'm doing an eighth of cayenne. Now, if you are totally like, I don't do hot at all, I think you'd be fine without it. But it really does balance the orange juice and the honey nicely. All righty. We're gonna throw the lid on this thing, give it a good shake. Gotta sample it, make sure it's balanced. If it's perfectly emulsified, I'll come around and show you guys. It looks really good. Oh, that's divine. That's nice. I think you guys will like it too. So you can see it's all mixed really well here. There's a tiny bit of bite at the back end from the fresh ginger and the cayenne, but that is so nice. We love. It's like my honey needs to incorporate a little bit more. It looks really, really good. Yeah, just shake it up. Isn't that convenient? If you don't make your own dressings, here's your sign. Make your own dressing. It's so easy. It's so easy. Like, I would venture to guess probably most of you have what you need right now to make a dressing at home. Some sort of oil, some sort of acid, whether it be citrus juice or vinegar, sometimes a sweetener, maybe a little dash of mustard, some spices. I like to grate some garlic in there, or some Parmesan cheese, even sometimes. You can get so creative with it. It's so simple. So I would look up like a simple balsamic dressing and use that as a base to create other things and get creative with it. I mean, we're only making this much, right? And so if we hate it, it's not like you're wasting a whole bottle of dressing that you buy at the store. And this is non-inflammatory. It's got fresh ingredients. I know it's in here. It's pretty great. So I think it's time to do some eating. Let me go ahead and pour some of this dressing on our salad. We'll toss it to combine. And then we're going to serve up some of our friends and see what they think. I'm going to start with maybe like a third of our dressing. We don't want a salad that's too wet. That's not going to be enjoyable. And then once we portion this out, we'll sprinkle it with some sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are a great source of omega fatty acids, which is imperative for all of our cellular function. All right, let's come around and show you guys what this is looking like. I think we've got just the perfect amount of dressing on it. So you can see, ooh, we're getting hearts. I think they're liking it, you guys. We're getting heart reactions. This is good. Y'all ready to try some? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. So I'm gonna serve them up some on a little plate here. I'm gonna make sure they have all the parts to their salad, and then we'll sprinkle it with a few sesame seeds. Oh, how pretty. And a fork. There we go. Now, you all know I always say a balanced meal has to have protein. This does not have a source of protein in it. You could very easily serve this as a side salad or an appetizer salad. You could very easily add some tofu or some beans to this and make it totally plant-based. You could very easily grill a really pretty piece of like salmon or chicken or something else to go with it. So it's got a lot of versatility with how you want to use it. There you go. Give it a whirl. Let's see what they say. Yeah, the dressing is so nice. Make sure that we get all the yummy parts of the salad here. Oh, lots of sesame seeds for this person. Yeah. Okay. Got some napkins here for y'all as well. Yeah, tons of sesame seeds on that one. I don't know why the container doesn't have a shaker. It really should. Yummy? Okay, so somebody says, man, that's good. That was our first review. There you go. And a fork. There you are, my friend. You're welcome. Okay, two people are silently chewing. One is digging in already. I think they're really liking it, you guys. Use this as your personal. Oh, we just got a with big eyes. I love it. I'm here for this. Use this as your personal invitation to come join me live next month. We're going to do holiday foods. I don't know if I have the recipe picked out yet, but it'll be good. I guarantee we'll have some and so wows again next month. This has been so fun. Another awesome episode of Cook Along Kitchen. I'll send you the recipe, all the details. Make it at home. Let me know how it is, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, you guys. See ya.